Since I wasn't married, I was living with my brother and his wife. When Maharajji came to them, I went into the farthest room so I wouldn't have to be involved with such people, for I thought sadhus are no good. After some time, Maharajji came into the room where I was. He walked in, sat down, and said, Sadhus are no good. After that, I just became a devotee. One of Maharajji's closest devotees for the last 20 years gives the following account. In 1935, I was on vacation from school and went to Dakshineshwar on a religious pilgrimage. When I reached the place where there were many Shiva temples, a man appeared before me whom I had not noticed to be there before. My son, the man said, you are a Brahmin? I shall give you a mantra. I will not take it, I said. I do not believe in it. You must take it, he insisted, and so I relented. Thereafter, I faithfully recited the mantra daily. Many years passed. It was June 1955. I had some close friends who were like members of the family. Every Sunday we'd chat in the evening at our house. Around 9 p.m., I saw my wife, aunt, and mother going out. I asked them where they were going, and they said just to an adjacent house that some Baba was visiting. One of the fellows with me said cynically, does he eat? I can arrange food for him. This fellow was a hunter. My wife said, you should not say things like that. In 10 minutes they returned. They reported that he had been sitting in a dirt hut with an oil lamp and had told them to go. When they didn't go, he said, go, your husband's Bengali friends have come. Go and serve them tea. I shall come in the morning. In the morning, my wife and I went over together. Maharajji was on a small cot in a tiny room. As we entered, he sprang up and took my hand, saying, let's go. We left so fast that my wife had to remove her sandals to keep up. He took us to our own house and said, I shall stay with you. When the women from the other house came to take him back, he would not go. Later he questioned me, you are a devotee of Shiva? Yes. You already have a mantra. It was at that moment that I realized it had been Maharajji who had given me the mantra 20 years before.
Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram.
My first meeting with him in Kanpur was short and sweet, perhaps only 2 minutes. I pranamed to him. He asked me who I was and gave me his blessings and left abruptly. Where he went, nobody could say. I met him again 10 months or a year later in Lucknow. One by one, he sent the many people who were sitting with him away until only we three were left. Then he asked my sister-in-law, what do you want? She said she'd come only to pay her respects. Then he asked me, and I replied, I only need your blessings, nothing more. Then he said to my wife, you have come with positive questions. Why don't you ask them? In fact, she had come with some questions which she hadn't even confided in us. But she had made a decision beforehand not to ask the questions herself. She wanted Maharajji to answer them unasked, and she wanted it done in private, so she didn't speak. She couldn't answer that she didn't have questions, but because of her decisions, she couldn't ask them. So Maharajji said to her, you want me to answer your questions without your asking, and you want me to tell you when you are alone. You're putting a sadhu to a very hard test. Tomorrow I will come to your house in Kanpur and answer your questions. We sat there for a few minutes more, and then he said, go. As we were leaving, a doubt came to my mind that Maharajji had just sidetracked us by saying he'd visit us tomorrow and answer the questions. At about 10 o'clock that evening, a message came to our house for a Maharajji devotee who was visiting us. The message was that Babaji, familiar form of Baba, was coming to the devotee's house and he should return home right away. We accompanied him. As soon as I pranammed to Maharajji, he said, "You doubted my integrity. Never doubt a sadhu. The burden is on him, not on you. You have not to doubt." I apologized to him. I had indeed doubted. Then he said, "All right, tomorrow I'll come to your place." So the next morning he came over. As this was his first visit, I really didn't know what to do. Others told me that nothing is to be done. Just provide a big pillow on a bed for him to lean on and offer some food or fruit or milk. He'll take whatever he feels like. It's his sweet will. When he arrived, I escorted him to the sitting room. He said, "No, I won't sit there. Let the others sit there. You take me to that small room." I was surprised and confused, since I did not know which small room he was referring to. He gave a description of the room and walked through the house as if he knew where the room was. I was following him, not leading him in our house. He went straight to the room and said, "Here I want to sit." He said, "Call Ma, my wife." She came, and he then answered all the questions she had in her mind. "Is there any question to which I haven't replied?" he asked. She had to say that there were no more.
Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram.
An Indian civil service commissioner of Lucknow used to drink ferociously. The superintendent of police said to Maharajji that they should go visit him. Maharajji agreed, and when they arrived, the commissioner had a bottle hidden behind him. Maharajji yelled from the car, "What's the matter?" The commissioner was furious. He screamed at the superintendent, "Who have you brought here? He has no manners. Get him out of here." The superintendent opened his holster and was about to shoot the commissioner for talking to Maharajji that way. But Maharajji blew up. "What are you doing? He is a great saint. You see only his outside. I'll never come with you again." The commissioner later became a great devotee. He would come for darshan but sit outside by the shoes, for he felt that was his place. He eventually became head of the administrative office school in Allahabad. He suffered from thrombosis. At the end, he suffered great agony but kept Ram Mantra going and was very gay. The superintendent was in tears when he visited him near the end, and he asked, "Should I call your wife and son?" The commissioner said, "No, this is not a time of attachment. At this time, all I have to do is remember Ram and Maharajji. Goodbye, we'll meet again." And he died. I had wanted to meet Maharajji for a long time, but could never catch him. Finally, a friend came and took me in his company car to where Maharajji was supposed to be. There were 4 rooms, and Maharajji was in the far room. I went in. The minute I entered, Maharajji said, "Get out, you." So I went out and sat down, but wouldn't leave. I sat for many hours. Finally, my friend had to return the car because it was closing time. Although my house was quite distant, I was determined to stay and have Maharajji's full darshan. Finally, someone took pity and said, "You aren't doing it right. When some people start to go in, you go in with them, and if he throws you out, wait and try again with the next people." I did so and was twice thrown out. Finally, the third time, Maharajji said, "Come, sit here. What is your name and what do you do?" Then he said, "Okay, now go." But I said, "I'm not going. I haven't had darshan yet. I haven't had a chance to discuss my problems with you." Maharajji said, "Go now and come at 6 a.m." So I went home, but I couldn't sleep. and at 2 a.m. I got up and did puja. I was afraid Maharajji would leave before I got there. When I arrived at the house at 6 a.m., Maharajji had already left, but they said he would return. After some time, he did come back, and then Maharajji and I spent many hours together. In fact, the rest of my life has been spent with Maharajji.
Shri